And
Madam
this is
Chair, you may start.
audio and video, correct?
I believe so. Hold on.
I was pretty surprised when I saw my parted hair and was like, oh, that's lovely. All right. That being said, I'd like to call the meeting of the Armory Park Historic Zone Advisory Board to gather here. Call to order for January 21, January, boy, that would be sad. Okay, let me start this again. Tuesday, June 21st, 2022 at 6:33. Roll call, please. Make sure we got the quorum. John Burr,
Present.
Glenn Fernier.
Present.
I wanted to say Aida. Patrick, have you shown up? Not yet. Robin,
Yeah.
Maurice,
Aye.
Martha is here. All right. Approval of the minutes from May 17. Do I have a motion to approve?
I second the motion.
Motion to approve the minutes of May 17th.
All right, Robin and Maurice seconds. Roll call. John,
Aye.
Glenn,
Aye.
who is it? Oh, sorry about the email. Patrick is not here yet. Come on, Patrick. Robin,
Aye.
Maurice,
Aye.
Martha says aye. Passes 5-0. All right, call to the audience. Do we have any call to the audience?
No, Madam Chair, we did not receive anything.
Okay. If the spirit so moves us at the end, I can call for one live. All right, let's do a review. HPZ 22-059, 733 South Stone. Construction of an outdoor dining area with a shade structure, outdoor bar, new windows, modifications on window openings, the relocation of the ugly but honest sign, fences and trellises. It's a full review. Approximate time, 30 minutes. We can take as long as we need. We follow the guidelines of the UDC, the TMS, and the Secretary of Interior standards. Who will be presenting this evening?
David E. Schambach Architects, David Schambach, and Nick Headings.
Well, welcome, guys. Like we haven't seen you before.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's good to see you. And I see we have somebody on a phone, but I have no idea whom at this point. Maybe at some point they will identify the zone. Go ahead and take it away, guys. Let us.
Okay, so we'll get right to our screen, get right at it. Thank you, Madam Chairman, or Martha Chairman, and members. So as you know, we have presented this to the neighborhood as a neighborhood meeting. We have done our formal presentation as an IID infill instead of district. We have a presentation that it basically takes our information that we presented before, hopefully detailed it a little bit better and formatted it in a way that we can move forward on the project. So before we get going, I want to go ahead and get the restaurateur, Nick Heading, to just explain his vision for the restaurant. So Nick, why don't you give us a few words about the restaurant and your approach of what you're hoping to see the operation to be like.
All right, sounds good. I think most of you know, I'll just briefly say who I am again. But Nicholas Headings, I've been in Tucson since 1988 from Phoenix. I own Upper Crust Pizza at Grant and Campbell and Arizona Pizza Company on Sabino Canyon. Opened up Arizona Pizza Company in 1996. Started working at Upper Crust Pizza in 1989 and took it over as the owner in 2012. So anyway, that's what I have done since 1989 actually. So anyway, I'm looking to do an outdoor space, which I'm very excited about because I have not been able to have any outdoor space as just the way my other restaurants are set up would not allow for that. One, I have no patio, and one, I have a very small patio that I'm hoping to expand in the near future, but it's difficult because it's into a parking lot. So anyway, as you can see on the screen, I assume they can see that, looking to leave the building alone as best as we can, leave the architecture and leave the look very similar to the way that it's been for a long time. And looking to do a lot of, we do pizza by the slice, if you know Upper Crust Pizza or Arizona Pizza Company, either one. We do a lot of pizza by the slice. We'll be doing all the fare you would get at a pizzeria, calzones and salads, and we'll have down there, we'll have sort of an interchanging menu that will change summer, winter as we change ideas and seasonal type stuff. We also are looking to do the beer garden, which will be all local Tucson brewed beer. So nothing even out of Tucson as well. So I'm really excited about the space and excited to get in, and trying to get in down here for a long time. And when this building even hinted at becoming available, I started making phone calls because I think it's a great fit for a little beer garden and a great corner that this is going to be as it continues to develop. So thank you.
Thanks, Nick. All right, so quickly we'll go through the history of the building itself. And as most of you know, I mean, we've gone through this before. I mean, this gas station is really interesting in the sense that it's passed through different hands. You know, the Wansleys primarily used it, but it appears that the building was first built somewhere in the 30s. Was a gas station, part of the Ugly But Honest group of auto sales. The building itself has been a little bit of an icon and a little bit of an eyesore as time passed by. As you can see, that throughout the course of its operation, since probably the 70s and 80s, it really hasn't been used for much. As one of the last owner passed, who owned and ran Wasley Auto, that the building has changed hands to a developer, Larry Kapler, as we all know, has been working on the Baffert, and infrastructure has been added, including the entry gateways to the different neighborhoods. And in the course of the next iteration, the building hasn't been used and it's been fairly derelict. Larry's been doing his best to keep it together until he gets a user in here. And I think we found the right use for this particular odd looking lot. I actually don't know if there's a better use than what we're proposing for it at this particular point in time. Just to sort of give you some imagery associated with the past, you can sort of see how it's been, connected to the Alamo Apartments for years and years and years, various different forms of utilization, including, at one time, I guess it had some pumps which have created problems for the EPA for a while. Currently we're, like I said, we're trying to bring the building up to a point where it's recognizable as an original gas station, and then utilize it, create it with this new use. Existing conditions and precedences. So just to briefly, here's the neighborhood, the designated area for us. As you can see, because of its location, the development zone boundary is actually fairly small for this particular piece of property, but this gives you a general overview of where the initial property is. And then also then the existing conditions of the property right now. Larry's been sort of touching up the signs and sort of just trying to keep the pigeons and rodents out of it, and just sort of trying to keep it in stasis. The last bit of infrastructure, which included the arches and the Cesar Chavez statue, have actually created a little bit more clutter associated with that corner, which we've recognized as being something a little bit new. And you can sort of see how overall the building itself is set back, and there is this open, expansive property where we were hoping to put the shade structure for the beer garden. The design precedents associated with the development zone. Some of them were taken directly from the building. Some of them are in the development zone, but it's really is sort of like streetscape, landscape, different amenities, different pieces of design associated with a multitude of building styles and textures and materials. So there's a lot to pick from. We have to pick something, but just to sort of give everyone a reminder of like what is available to us in this area as design precedents. The proposed design. These are not really design precedences, but we just wanted to show examples of some of the other sort of funky and older fire gas stations that we've noticed throughout Tucson that have been adapted for a different use. Most of them, ironically enough, associated with food for whatever reason. So anyway, just we thought this was just an interesting sort of example of how a little bit of work and some tender lumber care by a good owner could actually really bring something as being an important part of the streetscape. Our materials, we've shared this in the past, but we've got basically our selection of materials that we're planning on doing. We have the existing building that we're basically are trying to renovate into basically its original form using metal sash windows, really not adding any building to it, or any additional building to it, using the original colors for the paint scheme. We pick in a shade structure that has multi-layered sort of design. It'll have a steel frame associated with it. We're thinking of using some greenhouse technology and the corrugated polycarbonate as a rain screen and the first layer of shade structure. And during the summer, when the heat is really, or in the fall, using a layer of tensile structures that will be removable during the winters to add some additional shade and a layer of within the overall design. Rusted steel, these basic materials, concrete pavers, concrete pavers, and then the landscape are going to provide a majority of the materials. Okay, and we just want to share this. We know that this is something that's probably going to have a little bit of discussion. One of the things that's happened over the course of Larry working on this property with Nick and myself is the city has approached Larry at some point and asked if he would be amenable to relocating the ugly but honest sign, moving it away from the intersection and also away from the Cesar Chavez statue. As you can see under the current condition 2022, there's an unfortunate juxtapositioning of the two elements. We feel that moving the sign basically 22 feet to the north could help that, and also we separate the sign a little bit from some of the clutter that's associated with the archways, so that just so that it's able to stand alone as a distinct piece. Okay, overall site design. You can see that the main building stays the same. It's going to be retrofitted to act as a very modest restaurant. Basically, it's going to be kitchen with bathrooms and a very, very small indoor eating area. Under the canopy where the pumps are is going to be an outdoor bar area that won't be used all the time, but during certain times it will be used. The design, why don't you go ahead and point? The main entry is off of 6th Avenue. That's sort of the main entry where we have a portal design associated with that. That was a reaction to I think a very suitable comment by the design professional. Hardscapes and sitting areas along the bar. We have a rain garden that's actually that's gonna provide a nice little eye relief and some areas for demonstration of desert plants and water harvesting. Then we have to the south, we have the main shade structure, which is basically be a very simple frame of metal tubes. We're planning on just using like rust material to sort of diminish its impact to the overall streetscape. Again, with the polycarbonate as the primary shade structure, and then some tensile structures down below. See where how the sign is integrated into the overall design. We have a sort of a hole we're planning to have the sign sort of come out of, so that it's not really integrated into the sign, and make it really sort of a showpiece associated with the garden area. Because we moved the sign, one of the other benefits of it was we're actually able to increase the space along what we call the point. So we'll be able to put bicycle parking along there, and also increase sort of the wait space for pedestrians as they're waiting to cross the street. So, which I think will be helpful as this corner is becoming it's going to become a really, I think, really wonderfully active location. Then going back to the site plan real quickly. So we do have landscape buffers and so a colleague of Nick has been working with us. He's a specialist in desert horticulture. His name is Jeff Rohde. He's going to be helping us select plants for these areas, and again, adding some softening and the landscape. Some trees are to be planted, and as well as one of the requests from Mark Castro is to put a handicap accessible parallel parking space as part of our construction. Because as everyone knows, basically we're asking to have no parking spaces on site. Okay, then directly to the west of the building, we have a little area yard that we're using to basically act as trash enclosures for some rolling and storage trash cans, and also for any mechanical equipment that to keep that off the roof. So that's the basic site plan. Moving on to the floor plan, just to give you a glimpse of like what that's going to look like. Like I said, it's mostly kitchen, refrigerator, and bathrooms with a little bit of a dining room right along that edge. So coming from the basically on the east side, you're not really seeing the gate, but right along that area is like the main entrance in, which leads directly to the sales window and also into the little dining and bathrooms. So elevations of the building, this is, again, basically, we are picking up from the original design, basically enhancing it, repairing it, and putting in hopefully some alternate verbiage within the same design. And then using primarily metal sashes, metal trim, and to finish off the rest of the openings. This gives a good example is that we basically are trying to keep we decided to go ahead and make sure the shade structure was slightly lower than the canopy, so that it would become visible as an element. We also have some space of I think it's probably around 12 to 15 feet between the beginning of the new shade structure and the existing awning that was part of the original gas station. Again, some more views. We're picking up some just very simple pickets associated with what the kind of we see throughout the neighborhood. Some screen type fencing that will probably be perforated metal to sort of hide the mechanical units and the trash bins on that side. You can see the sign relocation. And moving forward, it's just a series of modeled renderings, just so you can get a sense of these elements in perspective as opposed to just elevation. And on this particular view, you start to see the entry portal that we've incorporated into the overall design to act as the marker and the designated entry, which I actually think works quite well with the overall design. So simple and fairly effective. Okay. And then this is from the inside. You can see where we're planning on putting the series of tensile structures that we connected using turnbuckles down. And because everything's so low, Nick will always be able to just take them down here. And we're adding these to make sure that during the hotter times of the year, he's got better shade associated with it. Because the other aspect of this is Nick really wants to use this as an example of water harvesting, and we're planning on using this watertight roof to direct water to the outside micro basins, which we're planning on using arid plants to populate those areas. Parking discussion. So I know this is a bit something very important with the neighborhood. We still have some parking. We're asking for relief for I think it's 14 parking spaces on this particular site. Yeah, I think it's, what is it? 16. So this is what an analysis of what we're seeing as the current sort of parking situation in the area. It does seem like, and we're still seeing this, and granted, the Bafford isn't fully occupied or anything yet, but we still see quite a bit of parking almost all the time along 6th Avenue and 8th, and then on Stone in those areas. So there seems to be still quite a bit of street parking, that seems to be pretty fluid in the way I think people come and go associated with this. And again, as everyone knows, the Baffert is leasing some parking spaces from the Wasley lot in the north. That's already been contracted and it's been given approval by the city. We're actually going to be asking Larry again for this project to get some more spaces to help justify the relief for the Ugly But Honest Pizza area. And one of the ways we're planning on doing this is, I think, John, you've been a big proponent of this, is to see what the parking configuration would look like when we restripe the Wansley lot. And this is currently what we're proposing, that we restripe the lot to be, to add basically 31 spaces to the parking inventory directly in this vicinity. And this one, going back to the last one, I don't know if people have heard this, but basically, the city moved the arch on 6th Avenue like 15 feet to the north, and it started to interfere with our parking structure or our parking radius. We've been working with the city, and we've altered the design somewhat to basically make that next section a little bit deeper, so that it works a little bit better. All right. So that's essentially my presentation or our presentation. We're really very excited about this project. It's certainly a labor of love by everyone's part. It's small, it's compact, it's a difficult sort of site to figure out how to use. But I think that with Nick's dedication to his craft and his idea of this beer garden with a little bit of an oasis feel, utilizing the empty site, the separation between the elements, I think we can make the historic portion of this project really seem almost seamless, but also add some very good aesthetic to that corner. So, we're ready for any comments and questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Welcome.
We do have some comments, and John had reached out to Jody earlier because, of course, the part of the big concern for us would be the moving of the sign, which we are actually on record for not recommending that the Cesar Chavez statue be put there. I believe John was on the design review board. We've had a couple neighbors involved in the process for the development of the arches and the artwork and the Cesar Chavez statue. And so, John, do you want me to bring up the concern?
You can, or I can a little bit. I was on the 5 Points Commission from 2006 through 2018, and the right of way that is there existing is what was allowed after an extensive environmental review and a SHPO Section 106 process. At that time, SHPO said that the Ugly But Honest sign could not be moved, or it would lose its historic status. So everybody kind of the art project you see is within the limitations of zoning, historic, yada, yada, yada. I reached out to Jody because the question is, if the sign is moved, can it retain its integrity? She said SHPO has not commented, but said that if it got moved with the same orientation and on the same site, it could remain potentially, but they hadn't done a formal. Jody said that she had originally advised that it shouldn't be moved when she was asked this spring, but she has not done a formal review. So one of the problems we have now, you know, I like what you guys are doing. I've worked with Larry for years. David, I know you really well. We're only one of review bodies on here, and we have different standards than all the other ones do. I'm also on the IID Design Review Committee. I don't see any problems with it as an IID project. The question is, we want some confirmation that the sign will retain its historic status and integrity if it is moved, which means we need to ask for that sort of finding from either Jody or Shippo for it to be moved. I don't have the full history of who in the city asked you to move it. I understand the bike parking and larger space you've created around the statue will be better. I assume transportation said they're not going to move the sign, as as was suggested back in December. But for us, and we're only advisory, I don't think we can recommend the sign be moved unless it's determined that it won't lose its status. The other questions I had were somewhat the same thing. Back at the neighborhood meeting on March 14th, I'd asked if you could lower the shade structure a little bit so it's below the actual canopy. The images, we only got the IID submittal for prior review. So the image on page, I think it's page 21, shows it higher, but the image on page 75 shows it lower. Is there any chance you might lower the shade structure 6 inches so it's below the actual historic canopy so that the view shed along South 6th Avenue will still, we can still see the building?
Yeah,
I thought it was explained that they had done it, and I thought the drawings that we saw this evening, which were the updated ones, showed a fairly clear delineation from the original canopy to the new canopy.
The plans still show it as a height of 10 feet. The historic canopy is 9.6 to 11.3. Can you bring it down 6 inches so it's below the historic canopy?
yeah, I think so. What do we have to work with?
We're at 10 feet at the top.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only thing. It looks better if it's a little bit lower for the long
Yeah,
view shed.
we can lower it 6 inches.
Okay. I have a question about the polycarb panels, the opal panels. I think I looked into them. They look like they're basically white Lexan, but it says they have to be installed at a 5%. Where it's not showing up on any of the plans. Where are the polycarb panels?
Well, that's what we're using to infill the shade structure.
So several sections of the roof will have those panels at a
Well,
5%.
yeah, all of the shade structure will have it.
All of the shade structure will have it. And are you concerned of the longevity, which is considered 1 to 2 years in Arizona?
The ones that we're going to be using are the ones that are rated for greenhouse. So generally speaking, they generally get 10 years, I think. But we talked to Nick about this. He understands there's a little bit of a maintenance factor associated with it, and he's okay with that. He'd rather, one of the things we're trying to do is, you know how if you use like a solid shade element, how things sort of get dark and deep in there, and what we're trying to do is sort of allow him a certain amount of control of the daylighting as it comes through. And so, like I said, during the winter months, you won't have the shade structure or the shade canopies in underneath. And so it'll be a better condition under like winter season, and during the summer we'll have the shade structures. So
Is the polycarb, is it a square?
yeah, it's a rib. You can get it corrugated, or you can get it in a square.
Can you get an S-curve? Because S-curve is on the building currently and has precedent in the HPZ, but the square curve for the polycarb you're showing and the Belvedere 6-inch fencing isn't actually extant in the HPZ. Can you get can you change those materials out to S curve corrugated?
Yeah. we
Okay,
can do that.
it'd be more complementary to the HPZ zone.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the color. I'm not worried about the shade sails. And I love what you've done with the building. I'm fine with changing the openings. I'm glad you're retaining a lot. I can't really tell exactly what the bar looks like, but I don't mind it. Generally, overall, I think you've done a great job here. The big thing is we can't recommend the removal of the sign if it delists it.
But could you make that, I mean, is that something that, when you actually come to making a decision on this, could that be a condition to move the sign?
Absolutely.
It's a
Absolutely.
condition we can make as a recommendation. That
Okay.
doesn't mean that PRS will make the same recommendation. It doesn't
Okay.
mean the planning director will make it. It doesn't mean that it will complicate your IID design review committee review. It just means from our standpoint, we've gone on record saying we can't lose a contributing
Right.
structure in our HPZ
All right,
without it being found that to be
Okay,
retained.
Glenn's got his hand up.
I think that was basically what I was going to ask. Can we approve this project contingent on the sign retaining its historic designation? So we go ahead and make the vote to approve, but that is contingent.
I believe we can do that. I think it's much better for the sign. We've always kind of, the sign is getting lost where it is in its own place. We know it's tasteless for the Cesar to be underneath it. And so if we're going to entertain an emotion or a motion, anybody else on the board want to make a comment? Maurice?
No, I think, John is right. Okay, we need to find out whether the moving the sign, will have an effect on its status, as a historic, piece, preserved piece. I think it's important. I was just thinking out loud. Okay, I mean, most of the business that's going to be in the pizzeria is really going to be at night. Okay. During the day, that particular corner is not exactly a place where people hang out. Okay, it's if you look at the across the street, the two restaurants that are over there, they do have outdoor spaces. I don't see any structure on top of them, and they've been there for years. Okay, so I'm just questioning here the validity of putting out this whole project. Of it seems to be a little bit of an overkill. I have no major objection to it. Okay, I stand on the same level as John as far as trying to keep a site of the original structure open as much as possible, which is why I'm questioning sending up that special structure. It's as an instruction to the customer, like I said, I think it's a little bit of an overkill. But again, like I said, it's just a personal opinion, and I have no major objection to it. So I will, pretty much follow John's lines. Please make sure that the current awning is visible because it's part of the charm of the structure. As far as the sign, it's I really don't like losing a piece of history, okay, or a designation as a historic piece just because it gets moved a few feet, for convenience, building convenience. I'm going to say one more time, and I know that there's not much we can do to it, but I think that the city ruined the whole area anyway with the traffic light and the post that they put next to the Chavez statue. I think it's insane, okay, but I'm not going to get into that. This is the city, the city does whatever it feels like doing. So this is what it is. Okay. That's about it. Like I said, it's again, 2 points, just like John, please, keep the current awning as visible as possible. As far as the sign, I think property will retain its value if more of its value if the sign is still considered, historic piece. You know, if it loses this designation, you know, it's you know, some of the value of the real estate will disappear. Besides the fact that you know it will affect the neighborhood. So that's about all I have to say.
Thank you, Maurice. Patrick, have anything?
I'm sorry, you know, that I got in here late, but apologize.
I noted that you got here at 6:40.
Okay. I'm impressed with the obvious care and effort that that's gone into the design and what is really an unwieldy property. And I think most of the treatments that I could see look to be in keeping and very complimentary to the property. I guess that, you know, the thing that bothers me is really not the projects, not the project per se, is Cesar Chavez's statue standing there underneath the ugly but honest sign. I wish they could have found some other place, more appropriate place to put it. But it is where it is. And I guess the State Historic Preservation Office would have to decide whether or not the ugly but honest sign could be moved. And if so, how much and where. But I think that's the largest issue that I can see with it for right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Robin,
It's a great reuse project. You've done an excellent job. It's not clear to me from the elevations, how are you venting the ovens? I didn't see that. Is there something on the exterior that I'm missing?
Well, one of the strategies we were planning on doing is that mechanical yard that's off to the side. We're planning on using what they call a utility set. So it's not like a mushroom type exhaust hood. It's a fan. We'll move it the hot air horizontally and then out into a unit that's sort of hidden in that yard, and then it'll go up in a stack. So, and are you doing deep frying?
It just depends on how we can get approved. You know, I would like to do some, but you know, if we're going to do that utility set, I'm not sure that's going to work.
So anyway, that's, you know, we've got to get through this part of it, and then if we do have to put any kind of equipment on the top of the roof, which we're, you know, until we get until we get approval to move forward and do the engineering for the design, we can't finalize that. We would be putting some kind of screen around the top to and you could certainly put that as one of the conditions to add some kind of metal screening to the top to hide any kind of roof mounted equipment. But our current plan is to not have any if we can help it.
Thank you.
anything else, Robin?
No, that's it.
Okay, Glenn, you got anything else?
I really like the project. I'm looking forward to seeing it happen. Just a point of information, that corner actually is busy from 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. because 5 Points Restaurant gets a lot of people. There's a waiting list, especially on Saturday and Sunday. They have a big mesquite tree that shades part of their outdoor patio, but they also have artificial shade structures, which are much appreciated when you're out there, even in the winter on that patio. So I'm happy that they're putting a shade structure into the plan on this one as well, because it will be used during the day. But yes, I like what I see, and I hope this can happen, and I hope that they let the sign be moved and still be considered historic.
Yeah. Thank you. You can take your hand down now. Okay. Yeah, I do like the plan that you've presented. I think you've taken our concerns into your concerns. the biggest thing, and I hopefully it can be worded so in a motion to recommend approval as presented, is the sign and moving it. I think it ought to be moved. I think it adds to the visual of the sign itself. We lost so much when we swapped the corner for the Baffert, which is coming along. And I don't want to see us have to take it in the shorts one more time for losing the sign and or that triangle piece of property for the HPZ. So who is going to make a motion?
I'm happy to make the motion. I do want to comment on a couple of things. David, you said that you could put screening for rooftop mechanical equipment.
Yes, I mean, we'd certainly take that as a condition.
It's not actually shown in any of your drawings. Is that something you would be willing to offer at the IID meeting if you further develop those plans?
Yeah, we could show you an example, but like I was telling Robin, it really is something we're going to try to avoid doing if we can at all.
Okay. I mean, it'd be nice if you screened it with more metal panels or whatever, if
Yeah,
it's really obvious and ugly, which I
Right.
think you would do anyway, because you're a good design team and Larry's part of the neighborhood and yada, yada. But we don't usually talk about stovepipes in our review.
Yeah, right.
So I don't think we should make that necessarily as a condition.
I
But
think if you have it lower in the winter, that would be the place to hang while you're eating your pizza, by where the exhaust of the ovens come out.
I'm gonna take a stab at it, and
Please do.
then we can have discussion. Okay, in the matter of HPZ 22-059 733 South Stone, the board recommends approval as presented with the following conditions. The square wave corrugated shall be replaced by S wave corrugated elements to be compatible with historic existing corrugated in the neighborhood or in the HPZ. 2, the shade structure will be brought down to 9 feet 6 to increase the visual, the visibility of the original structure and canopy. And C, this sign shall only be moved if the HPO or SHPO determines that moving it 22 feet on site at the same orientation will not render its loss as a contributing structure to the neighborhood.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I will second the motion.
Maurice seconds. Okay, discussion. Anybody else want to say anything from the board? I'm calling a vote then. John,
Aye.
Glenn,
Aye.
Patrick,
Aye.
Robin,
Aye.
Maurice,
Aye.
Martha, aye. Motion passes. May you fall forward in the world of preservation and recommendation, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
for your time.
I do want to remind you, we're only one of the advisory committees here.
Yeah,
And
Believe me, John. I remember.
we really do like the project. We like you
Yeah.
as neighbors. We want to stress that. We just have to go on record.
Yeah, it'll happen one
Okay.
way or another.
Moving forward.
Thanks
Very
again
good.
so much. Oh, and on just a further comment on the parking stuff, I'm really glad that you're asking for 13 lease spaces on the other site across the street, but we don't normally comment on parking. That's usually discussed during the IID meeting as a
Yeah.
matter of policy.
Understood. I think it's important that we, move forward as a concept and have all our ideas out there at one time.
And it looks like environmental said it's fine to wheel your trash across the street.
Well, that's one of the things we still have to manage. So,
Okay, that's not really our concern.
Right.
Okay, thanks so
All right.
much.
Thank you all very much. Thanks for coming. Thanks for visiting. That's done for the reviews tonight. The design guidelines project. Glenn, you got anything you need to add or want to add, or anything happened with you and Tom?
Just that I sent that document on to you And I haven't heard anything back. And so, and then Tom hasn't said anything either. I think I said it to him too. But nobody said anything, so I'm assuming that ball is not in my court right now.
Yeah, but you were the only person in the court, so I had to call on you. Yeah, that's fine. We will carry on. Hopefully you guys will come up and see what's happening. So no news on that. All right, number 6, the Tucson Pima County Historical Commission separation update. Michael Taku, please update us.
I think the update I can have for you is just we had the last stakeholder meeting, which Martha, you were there, John, you were there. So,
John actually is not a stakeholder.
okay, I thought he was there. Okay,
You should have been.
Martha, you were at the meeting, so you.
I heard illicit recording, so I know what went on, but I'm not a stakeholder.
Yeah, that was my mistake. So I know Martha was there. So much about the stakeholder thing, Martha, you can upgrade, tell the group exactly what you took from there. We'll just continue with the series of recommendations and things that we are looking at. There is nothing that is actually definite at this point in time. We are still working on what the consultant is bringing to us, and we're listening to stakeholders. The city is listening to stakeholders to figure out what are the best options out there. So at this point in time, there is nothing definite that we have arrived at. We're still listening to stakeholders to tell us what is wrong with the process, what can we improve, what can we keep, and they see some recommendations that we have thought about as a city, and some recommendations that the consultant is bringing to us. But again, those recommendations are not yet clear as to what will be the final decision. So we are still at the meeting level of that consultation to get more information. And I believe there's still another meeting that will be coming up for, again, more consultation before we get to that. I think the main thing that keeps coming up is actually the sticky issue is the thing of the advisory board. At this point in time, a lot of people are thinking that the advisory boards are going to go away. Some are saying it will stay. We don't know. The answer is we don't know at this point in time. So we as staff from the Historic Preservation Office, we are still telling you, please continue to work on your design guidelines. So whatever format or whatever is done, we believe that the neighborhood will always be a strong part of historic preservation. So our encouragement is for the various advisory board to continue to work on their guidelines as you have been doing. So don't stop it because you think that the advisory boards are going to go away. Nothing is definite at this point in time.
But that was the recommendation of the consultants, though, that the advisory boards are disbanded, or one person from an advisory board would be going to a plans review, maybe one person from each neighborhood. It was the first time that Jody had to say out loud when she was asked point blank, are you getting rid of the advisory boards? And so that was, you'll be happy to know that the only person I think who was surprised was from West University, where she was like, oh, I never thought of that before. Where pretty much the rest of us were going, oh, that's been a done deal since they put this dog and pony show together. There's an acronym for what that's called, ACTCAR or something. So we just want to make sure that we know that you're saying it out loud for the first time in months. And
no, I am saying what I'm saying out and loud is that nothing is definite now. There are many scenarios that have been put out there. There's a scenario that you are referring to that has been put forward that you can go to each of the advisory board and get 1 or 2 people to join the full commission to do plans review. That has been put out there. So nothing at this point in time as I speak is so clear or definite that the advisory boards are going to go away. They're still looking at how we can still make the advisory board to be relevant. So it may be, you just stay as you are, who knows? Nothing is definite so far.
I agree. Nothing is definite. There is no plan for a fourth stakeholder meeting, is there?
With this, the city is still consulting on that. It may be, it's not yet, we're not yet sure. After the last meeting, we met again, and we still talk of let's review all what we have said, because the last meeting, a lot of things were said. So the consultant and staff are now meeting to decide whether we should have another stakeholder meeting or not. That has not yet been decided.
Okay.
One thing that appears as if it is going to be true is that there will be the separation. That's what we have heard. Again, Pima County is doing its own thing, doing their own style differently from the way the city is doing, although they say they are mirroring the city. Then there is a city of South Tucson, which has the option to either join the county or join the city. The last we understood was that the city of South Tucson would like to join with the city of Tucson, as much as the county had wanted them to join the county. So that is where we are at this point in time. And talking about the time frame, this is at this point in time as we speak, because it still has to go to the planning commission, it has to go to mayor and council. So this is not something that we're talking right now, next month or the next 2 months. So it is still somewhere down the road. That is the only update I can give. Maybe if Jody were here, she would have given you a better update, and she'll be here at the next meeting. I'm just covering because she's doing design guidelines at West University today.
That's nice. That's good. All right. Anybody on the board have a question or anything for Michael about this? Or we'll just go on.
Not so much for Michael. I happened to hear a private recording of it, and I think it was actually Corinne that said that the advisory boards going away is still part of the recommendation. Most of the people in the meeting fought back about that and suggested that a better potential might be if the advisory board meet concurrently with any reconfigured plans review subcommittee. There was some discussion of neighborhood associations having to create a development committee with no vetting, and that they would be given the status in the code of being able to appeal, but it wasn't further explained. It is true, there are no final recommendations to review, but it was an interesting meeting to hear the viewpoints and how the consultants reacted.
Yeah.
John, you're right, that's true. That's why I'm saying that nothing is definite at this point in time.
Yeah, but it was disheartening to hear it, Michael.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say no, it's not. It's problematic. There is still the process of the planning commission. There's still the response from neighborhoods. There's still the response from the advisory boards. We'll see. Do you have any idea, Michael, when the recommendations will be put forward for the public to review?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Do you have any idea when the recording of that meeting will be sent to us, stakeholders?
I thought they sent it already. If they have not, I think that the recording is available, and I don't know when Jody or Corinne will be able to send that out.
Okay, well, it's good to know that it's just about ready, because I've had to wait a long time on those, and those takes a while to. Larry, you've been through them. Trying to go through all that is like, oh, wait a minute, what was that? All right, well, thank you, Michael. That's good. Call to the board. Robin, you got anything going?
Besides managing a congressional campaign? No, other than that.
No, just work, huh? All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Patrick, you got anything?
Nope, but I'm glad I got in on the end of that presentation. I always wondered what was going to happen to that corner.
Yeah, I think it's could be a really good deal. Glenn?
No.
All right, Maurice?
Well, I've been thinking, a couple of my properties are in EHPZ, like we all know, which means that they could run a commercial venture. And I've noticed that the Primavera Foundation, neither the blood bank offer a method and treatment option. So that's what I'm thinking. Since the city doesn't seem to be too worried about the neighborhood, I'm looking at the feasibility of opening up a method and treatment center on Arizona Avenue. Okay. I don't see why, I shouldn't do it. Okay. It appears that my landlord neighbors don't really care about the rest of the neighborhood. So if, I'm willing to play. Okay. It's, I own those houses outright. I don't have a cloud in the world, what I should do with it. Okay. I know that I'm not going to be the only one holding the bag. If, they're going to want to build, multi-story housing and everybody's fine with it. I have all the right to open up a method and treatment center. I know the community can use it. Okay. I have people interested in it. Okay. And, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. Okay. So at any rate, like I said, right now I'm looking at the feasibility of it. Okay. It's not a done deal. I may change my mind. Okay. If I see that, people become a little more, interested in the neighborhood, which at this point in time, even on this board, I see it, to a certain extent. Okay. But I see a lot of people that are also, not really concerned about the neighborhood. Okay. And, if that's the case, I could join the trend too. This is what I've been telling myself. Those past couple of years, my net worth has increased to the point where I really can do whatever I feel like doing with those properties. Okay. And this is how I feel. So that's about it. If you see a permit for a method and treatment center coming up on your agenda through the city, don't be surprised. It's going to come from me.
I won't be surprised at
Okay.
all.
If I may add, Maurice, the HPZ review process is about design. We actually do not review for use of a property. So what you're proposing may be a very good thing for the neighborhood. I don't think it is a HPZ review process that is going to obstruct you from doing that, because we basically review the design. We don't review the use of a property. The use of a property is regulated by zoning regulations. So if there are any issues, please do not say that, or let nobody think that it is a HPZ review process that has stopped you from doing that. It may just be that it's not allowed by zoning.
Thank you, Michael. And Maurice, put my name on one of those rooms right off the bat, would you? I'd appreciate it. I'll be needing that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because there's a tendency for people to just dump anything. Oh, it is a history review process that has done this. We are limited to design, exterior design. The use of the property is governed by the UDC zoning code.
Exactly. And those are historical properties. Okay. There have been, whatever, changes have been done to them have been approved through this board over the years. Okay, the outside is not going to change. Okay, but the inside will. It's no longer going to be, residential. It's going to be strictly commercial. And again, like I said, right now it looks like it's going to be a method and treatment center. So
the only thing that you will get we would get involved is if you want to use it for that purpose and you need to do some additions and modification to the property and stuff like that. Of course, you are going to get HPC involved. If you leave the property as it is and you're just using it for what it is, you're not doing any exterior changes, you're not doing any addition, then the HPC has no business disturbing your property, your business.
The only change is going to be internal, refrigeration units and treatment galleries. Okay, And that's it. Okay, I don't even need
Okay, this
parking.
meeting
Yeah.
took an interesting turn I didn't see
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all. Listen, we've got a few minutes.
Hang on a second. You didn't
what?
ask me.
Oh,
Maurice-
I'm sorry.
Maurice, I am hoping you will be happy with my severely edited minutes of your amusing rant. But it's not an HPZ topic. The only thing I want to call the board is Martha and I attended mayor and council for the rezoning of 375 South Stone. Both the neighborhood's position and the ABSAB's position per Martha, we were officially neutral on the rezoning. And you can hear it, and it shows up in a very truncated way in the summary of the mayor and council meeting. But the rezoning did get moved forward by mayor and council 7-0. So just wanted to report that. I don't see any other critical meetings coming up going forward.
Not
Martha,
yet.
are there any minor reviews scheduled that you want?
Not that I have heard. Mr. Taku, got any minor reviews?
No, I do not have any for Armory Park at this point in time. I'm working on some, but they're not ready for review at this
Okay.
point. When they be ready, I will let Martha know.
Sounds good. So we have like 3 guests. Larry, would you like anything you want to say to the board? Yeah, I'm giving you a free microphone here for a few minutes.
Okay, there we go. No, I appreciate your receiving the Headings family and the architects so graciously with your review. I do think it's going to be highest and best use for that small little area there. I have been, regarding the historic sign there, I was approached by the city manager's office to see if it could be moved or turned or something. And I just want you to know that I am not really in favor of moving or doing anything to the sign other than restoring it back to the way it should be in terms of paint and shining it up a little bit. I think if anything that should be done is the statue should be moved over to the park, which is where I believe it belongs at the very onset. It's hidden right now. It's there's so much clutter in that point there that no one gets to see it anyway. It would be much more appropriate in the park. So that's my.
I have this picture I just found of 5 Points the other day, and look how clear that sucker is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just sweet.
So we want moving of the sign in our project for the pizza place is sort of my it's just kind of a secondary. I'm trying to solve 2 problems with one situation, alleviate the sort of the insensitive placement of the statue under the sign. And also I think that if we can make it meet this committee's goals of keeping it as a historic fixture, then I'm okay with moving it. I think it'll look much nicer away from all that. But I think the highest and best use for that point would be to move the statue. I do believe there is a movement afoot. People have approached the mayor, the city manager's office about doing just that. I think they're still a long ways from getting any traction on it, but I think there is a fairly large interest in moving the statue. But I think moving the sign is the best we're going to be able to get if we can make it work for everyone.
Thank you. for the update.
Yeah.
I think Larry is 100% right. The statue needs to move. There's a park across the street. You know, I mean, Cesar Chavez is an important figure in our culture. It deserves some respect. Okay, and putting in that park is an excellent idea. Okay. As
We'll
far
see
as
what the
sign,
city decides to do.
Yeah.
All right, Ken, you got anything for us? Anything shooting down in your part of the neighborhood?
No, got nothing. I enjoyed listening to the proceedings.
Cool. You're welcome anytime. Fernando, thank you for making it.
Hey, can you hear me?
Got anything cooking? Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, great. Yeah, my only, I really like what the architects have done. I think it's a great use of space given the challenging shape of the parcel and such. I do have a couple of concerns with, and this is just my opinion, purely from a aesthetic point of view. There were some comments made about the clutter at that corner, which I agree with the arches, the statue, the sign. It's very cluttered. And there was not one comment, I don't think, made about what this new proposed shade structure would do to that visual clutter. I think that having those I-beams and those round posts, I mean, I know that it's very functional, especially because that is a hot, blazing corner with nothing, no vegetation on it. So I'm just trying to think of a better approach to what could be done with that shade structure to make it not feel as heavy and visually cluttered, because not only do we have the overhead structure, but we also have the 4-foot barrier fence right under it. So in the renderings, you can see it starts to look a little bit like a cage. And John Burr's comment, which was my first thought, was, well, let's lower it so that you can get a better visual approach of the building. That was my first thought as well. But then I started to think, well, if we lower it, then we're just lowering that big heavy beam closer to that 4-foot fence, creating even more of a, in my opinion, cage. I think that the building is beautiful, and I think that the shade structure is beautiful. I just don't know if a multi-layered shade structure is the appropriate thing to use in this case. That's just my opinion, purely from a aesthetic point of view, just because that's such a visual corner.
Gotcha. And I saw your note, hopefully you got mine back. With our board structure, public comments have to be sent to Jody Brown 24 hours ahead. So,
Understood.
So so for me, calling a call to the audience kind of now is just something I can do because I'm a bitch and I just like screwing with the agenda.
Nice.
There's that. Oh, and now this is not only on audio, but video. Oops. Anyway, Ms. Mulder, you got anything?
Oh, I guess I'll just endorse your most recent comment, but otherwise I'm just a fly on the wall. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Well, we thought Jody might be able to show up. I have no idea about future agenda items. I would assume the one person that missed last month that didn't show up this month on the agenda might wait a month.
We are still, I am working on getting the last person who did not show up. I'm just having problem getting the appropriate materials for you to review. What they keep submitting is not, as far as I can tell, it's not yet sufficient for review.
Okay.
We're talking of 519 South Russell, I think. That one is not yet ready for review. And then I'm also working on, I believe there's a carport at 534 South Russell again. That is also under review. And then Mr. Togler also, he had an application with you before. He withdrew it and then he redesigned it. He's on vacation right now. And so he told me that he will be back in July. So that may come in front of you either the end of July, by July meeting or August.
Okay,
So
and I know there's a person today, somebody on Herbert wants to add something and he just uploaded.
Yeah, that was Herbert Matter. Thanks for that correction. I believe it's 528 South Herbert. Yeah, so that person is also struggling to submit. Initially, they had somebody who was helping them with the review. I believe it's a carport or something like that.
Enclosed, an enclosed patio thing, and then the draft person died, and
yes,
it's a hard luck story, and we're gonna get them through this process. So
yeah, so
sounds like there's a meeting next month.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping that he can give at least a minimum that you people can at least comment on it, but it's not yet forthcoming. So, and I hate to send people to you without repackage that you can look at. So,
Michael.
Yes.
Can I ask a quick request on the 519 South Russell?
Yeah.
That property has several addresses. Can you have the applicant in there when they put together their package for us to review, show the building and the height of the contributing portion of that property rather than just the new build, non-contributing garage in relationship to their building?
That is part of the problem that I'm having with the applicant because they are just submitting things. Some of the submitters don't have any highs. They don't show me what they are comparing it to and stuff like that. So I will do just that. I'll try my best to do it, but eventually, as I say, the things is getting slow to get to me, but eventually we would. So when you say it has multiple addresses, is it one parcel with multiple addresses? Is it different?
It's one parcel. We reviewed it several different times with the previous owner when it was listed as 521 South Russell, and those are available on Pro, and they show the contributing building that is a little bit lower, I think, than what they are showing. But just for reference sake, how the new structure compares to the existing structure, especially the contributing portion, would be helpful for our review.
Yeah, but that's part of the thing that is usually done anyway. So yeah, but I will talk to the architect on that.
When it appeared on our prior agenda, that wasn't part of the package. That's all.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
And just a shout out to Esther Marie Hillman, who has managed to come in the last 5 minutes of the meeting. Hi, Esther Marie. Thanks for joining
Hey,
us.
better late than never, you know?
There you go. There you go. Okay. And with that, at 7:49 p.m., we're going to call this meeting. It's a done deal. Thank you all very much for your time. Excuse me. I appreciate it. And
happy solstice.
Happy solstice. There we go.
Yes, yes.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.